Today on the channel, the bees are buzzing in Jack's Classic Superstars Series 24 with the Killer Bees and Rey Mysterio.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Jack's Classic Superstars unboxing and review, kinda, and we'll get to that of course, but today from Series 24, we got the Killer Bees, jumping Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair, and we've got Mr. 619 himself, Rey Mysterio. But for all your modern day wrestling figure needs, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%, and of course we're going to do this unboxing and review like we do all the other ones here on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging, and then we're not going to unbox them because I have loose versions of these already. So we're going to look at the packaging, and then we'll transition over to the loose ones. How about that? But let's kick it off, and let's start it with Mr. 619, Mr. Rey Mysterio, an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, one of the biggest high flyers of all time, and honestly, the most famous masked wrestler of all time. There's no doubt in that at this point. We'll see what happens in the future, but there he is. Old Rey Mysterio, he does come with his patented microphone. Oh, obviously a talker, especially back in this day. But looking good, old Rey Mysterio. Here's on the side, a little glamour shot. Rey Mysterio, don't call him Junior on the side. And then, of course, the back of the package here. You got old Rey, we got the big cross sell, we got UPCs, we got the warnings, all that kind of fun stuff. And we got the glamour shot. So let's see what it says about our old friend Rey Mysterio. Weight, 175 pounds, 5'6", finishing move, the 619 in the West Coast Pop. Title, World Heavyweight Champion, Royal Rumble winner, Cruiserweight Champion, WWE Tag Team Champion, WCW Tag Team Champion, WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Champion. Collect them all, Rey Mysterio, the British Bulldogs, Trish Stratus, the Killer Bees, RVD, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Stephanie McMahon here in Series 24 from 2009 was this set, of course. Very, very cool, though. Very nice. And at the time, of course, Rey Mysterio was right in the middle of his career. Didn't quite feel classic, but I felt like he felt classic enough to be in this line. But all these years later, a definite fit in the Classic Superstars line. So I'm going to put him off to the side right here, and I'm going to grab old Rey right here, as I do have a loose version, as I did say. Now, he does come with a black microphone. I guess in modern times, Rey Mysterio is on the microphone all the time, especially feuding with his son Dominic, as I'm filming this currently, this video. Yes, I'm way ahead on these videos, folks, but he's on the microphone pretty much every single show, so it's on point, on brand for this, but you go way back to what this represents, he didn't get a ton of mic time at the time, so I think it was just one of those throw-in accessories here. But let's break down Rey Mysterio. I don't mind this figure. It just feels very big for Rey. Of course, Rey's just a little guy, as we know. He's got a pretty big figure here. He's just matched up with 6'3" guys, being the same size. Didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that was kind of scaling back in the day. We got to look at this with 2009 eyes, not 2023, 2024 eyes. But Rey looking really, really nice. Good masked head. A little bit big in the head department. We got the nice Raiders-inspired mask. Sure, why not? We got the silver and black attack looking good. Got the armbands going on with the crosses, looking really nice, and they are covering over the tattoos that he has on both arms. That does look nice. Of course, this is pre-tattooed Rey, before he got all the tattoos all over his back and stuff like that, so definitely an earlier version of Rey Mysterio. Silver and black attack continues down into the tights and then the white on the boots, but it does look really, really good. A very sharp Rey Mysterio figure, and he really was Mr. Jack's Ruthless Aggression era. Him and Cena are just neck and neck for as many figures as they had. John Cena had more figure releases, but he had a lot of reuse where you'd get the same figure in multiple packs. Rey got a little bit of that, but not to the degree that Cena did and the Batistas did, things like that. But Rey definitely an all-star in the Jax line way back in the day, and an all-star in the Mattel line current day for sure. So a good Jax Ruthless Aggression style classic superstar Rey Mysterio figure. Put him over here, and we're going to turn our attention to the Killer Bees. We're going over to old B. Brian Blair himself. One of the greatest feuds ever with the Iron Sheik. They'll never let that WrestleMania 3 feud go. Brian Blair, an interesting character, but a really nice guy. I've met him a couple of times over the years. He does help out at the Waterloo Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame every single year, Cauliflower Hourly Club, things like that. So he's a guy really looking to help future wrestlers, things like that. A big proponent of that kind of stuff. And I think he's even into politics down in maybe Tampa. So Brian Blair still around, of course, part of the Killer Bees. To me, that's what he's most famous for. But if you grew up in Florida back in the day, he was a big part of Florida wrestling, as we all know. So it kind of depends where you came into them. Of course, for me, it was during the Killer Bees time frame. And I enjoyed the Killer Bees. At the time, two big high flyers, especially Jim Brunzell, which we'll talk about in a little bit, really changing the way people looked at some wrestlers. And I think the Killer Bees, in a lot of ways, kind of paved the way for the Rockers in the WWF. I kind of felt like when the Bees went away, the Rockers kind of took their spot as the fast and high-flying team and took it to the next level, of course. Well, Marty Jannetty, you can't keep him down all these years later. And, of course, we know all about Shawn Michaels. But Brian Blair, a favorite of mine, kinda. But looking good here in the Killer Bees inspired wear. Of course, we did get a Toys R Us exclusive Tag Team Classic Superstar set of the Killer Bees, and that one they came with their masks. And you know me, I love a good mask gimmick. We'll talk about that when we do unbox them on the channel, so stay tuned for that in the future. But looking really, really good here. You got old Brian Blair looking only like a Brian Blair could look if he was in Series 24 Classic Superstars. There he is on the side. Look at that mustache. Oh, it just means business. B. Brian Blair. Love that B at the front. Looking really good. On the back, not too much of a blurb for him. You got the glamour shot, you got the cross sell, you got UPCs, you got the warnings. See what it says about our old friend B. Brian Blair. Weight, 235 pounds. Height, 6'1". Finishing move, the sleeper. Okay, and then we got the big cross sell, UPCs, warnings, 2009. Of course, and I'm going to put him off to the side. And one of these days, I'm going to accidentally unbox one of these. I don't want to unbox. That's going to be a horrific day. That's going to cost me some serious money. But I got old Brian Blair here loose, and a fabulous representation head sculpt department of Brian Blair. Brian Blair really hasn't aged a whole lot over the years either. He still looks like this, still has that kind of curly mullet going on. Just a really, really good looking figure. Definitely looks like him all day long. One of the best head sculpts of Jax here. I know he's not, the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant in fame and stuff, but man, this does look really, really good for Brian Blair. Love the checkered tights, or not really checker, I guess the black and white tights. Of course, we do know the Killer Bees, they love Striper. Huge Striper fans, huge Michael Sweet fans. They said to hell with the devil at an early age. So they're representing the swarm right here is what they're doing. Maybe not, but it sounds good. It sounds good. You got the nice wrist tape here. Of course, the Bees color wrist tape looking nice. You got the yellow and black attack on the shoes, black knee pads. Just an all-around great looking figure here. Great looking figure, no denying it. Of course, articulation going to be the same for all three of these guys. Arms going to go all the way around. Bicep cut, single jointed elbow, hands back and forth side to side, head back and forth side to side, a little bit up and down, but mostly just side to side. Waist articulation, legs go up, single jointed knee, and then you get the boots back and forth up and down. So not a ton of articulation, but that's kind of how it was back in 2009, this style of figure, as we do know. But looking definitely cool, looking like a B. Brian Blair should look in the Classic Superstars line. And like I said, an absolutely fabulous head sculpt on old B. Brian Blair. Now we're going to turn our attention to one of the Midwest stalwarts back in the day, old jumping Jim Brunzell, getting all fired up, going to throw that drop kick, and one of the greatest drop kicks in the history of wrestling. Really invented a lot of high-flying stuff. Of course, a stalwart of the old AWA organization, and a story we've told many a times on the channel. My dad, of course, going to college up in Minnesota around the time of the heyday of the AWA with the Jesse Venturas and Bobby Heenans and things like that. My dad, I remember telling me he went and saw some matches with some of his friends, and that was when Greg Gagne was first starting off, and of course him and Brunzell were a tag team, and my dad basically said that was where it killed wrestling for him, is he didn't believe Greg Gagne would ever be able to beat anybody up. Of course, that was the days where, they kept it pretty realistic. Nobody admitted to things. We know how it went there. And my dad knew straight off, Greg Gagne, there's no way. There's no way. He just would not suspend any disbelief. And that basically soured him on a lot of wrestling. And that's the way it goes sometimes. I know that's what happens. But Greg Gagne not taken as seriously as a young Vern Gagne back in the day. But Jim Brunzell parlayed his AWA experience, then went to the WWE, went for the big money. Maybe, maybe not. And I think he left WWE, went back to AWA, if I remember correctly. But a very good pairing with him and B. Brian Blair. Like I said, I enjoyed that tag team back in the day. But there he is, looking a lot like his partner, kind of same outfit going on. Obviously, their tag team, they got a match after all, but looking really, really good there in the package. You got old jumping Jim Brunzell, always had a smile that just made you smile. He always had an infectious smile, we'll call it, and they did represent that in the action figure. Jim Brunzell on the side, and there he is, looking like a car salesman or an insurance agent or something like that up there, without his shirt on. Maybe he's at the pool, who knows. But we got a little bit of a tail of the tape. Got the cross-sell, got the blurb, got the warnings, got the UPCs, all that kind of stuff back here. Jim Brunzell, weight 235 pounds, 5'10", finishing move, the high drop kick. Just a beautiful drop kick. If you've never seen Jim Brunzell's drop kick, man, check that thing out. One you could set your watch to, as I always do say. But a good looking figure, and of course we got old Jumpin' Jim right here off to the side. A little bit more pudgy. Is that the word? They give him the old pudgy body compared to B. Brian Blair. But definitely looks okay in my book. He looks good. It looks all right. I think it's on brand. He was always a little bit bigger in that midsection, but he could still jump up. He could still knock your head off with the drop kick. And like I said, a very good smile on Brunzell. Looks just like him. A little bit of that flowing mullet going on as well there. Black and yellow, of course, representing Striper, as every Killer Bee fan would do. You got the same knee pads going on, and then the black and yellow. So we get some reuse here, but at least they give us a different body mold. They very easily, and somebody would say that's so Jax, they could have just gave us the same body twice with different heads and said, oh, there it is. They could have done that, and thankfully they didn't do that. They made it a little bit of a difference between these guys. And I really do miss the days of tag team wrestling with the Killer Bees and the Rockers and all that kind of stuff. The Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Expresses, LODs. Back when that was your lane. You stuck to your tag team lane. They still have that a little bit, but nowhere to the degree in the 80s, and I felt like it made these guys a little bit sticking out more, serious more, took them as an incredible threat more. I just really do miss the tag team scene with the teams like these, but you can't rewrite history, you can't go back in time, but if we could, we'd resurrect those Killer Bees. That's what we would do, I think. But we got a high flyer set right here in Class Superstar Series 24. Some older figures and some newer ones as well, so a very, very good set if you ask me. But what say you guys out there in YouTube land? You pick up any of these three back in the day? What are your thoughts on the Killer Bees? What are your thoughts on Rey Mysterio? Feel free to chime in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far, you might as well like the video. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell, so you guys know we got videos every single day, and then some. Yes, and then some, and even more on Patreon, where these videos are a year ahead. So if you're watching this on traditional YouTube, this was filmed over a year ago, so take note of that. But all kinds of early content and all kinds of bonus content over on the Patreon. And best of all, it does help support the channel. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget about social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter. Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, B. Brian Blair, and Rey Mysterio, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.